Hello, welcome to the Opinionistics. I'm your host, John Alone. In this episode, don't have any co-hosts. They're busy doing space, talking about, well, whatever they always talk about. So, introducing from Connecticut, Joan Ladino.
Oh, and her twin sister Jane. So hi there, it's Joan and Jane.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Well,
Joan
our
and Jane.
voices are so similar.
Oh, how funny is
that
that?
nobody can tell us apart with just the voice.
Now I don't
We
feel
can't.
so badly about what I said.
We can't even tell each other. Like, I'll say, "Oh gosh, I hope I didn't say that," and sometimes we don't know who said it. So yeah, I'm sorry. It's Joan and Jane.
Yes.
Sorry for the
Okay.
familiar names.
Yes.
Okay.
That's all right. It's cool.
Yeah.
So since the last time, how is life going for you guys?
Pretty well. Well, very well. I did get a phone call from my son on Mother's Day. I did test it. I tested him according to the guard I ran into, a male guard. I tested my son to make sure he'd call on Mother's Day, and he did.
Oh, and Peter, did you call your mom?
My Mother's Day was like months ago. It's in March, my Mother's Day. So.
How American Joan is being. That's Joan.
I'm so grateful that you
Is
didn't
that-
say that she's passed. I thought, oh God, here we go, and I did it.
Oh.
Sorry about
our
that.
celebration of Mother's Day must be the celebration around the globe.
We were on a podcast that was called "I Should Have Listened to My Mother,"
Oh.
and that was pretty funny
Excellent.
because she did. She gave good advice, but you look at them sometimes, your parents, and you think, they're really not aware of what's going on today. Some things haven't changed, and that advice is pretty good.
Oh yes. So as a little update to the listeners that may not be aware, what are you ladies done or doing right now?
What's that, Jane? What are we doing?
Oh, we are currently working on our second book, and how ADD of us that we have been also working on the title of our third book. And we spent an awful lot of time on that. So we came up with the title for the book number 3, which for me is the incentive to really dig into book number 2.
Yes, because the publisher is actually waiting for our pitch, and
Oh, I
that
know.
was back, in the winter, so I
Yeah.
don't recall. But what we want to tell listeners is there is time in life for everything if he who cares least wins. Because sometimes if you're going to wait around, because I waited around a lot. Now I have a roommate, and her name is Jane, and I never wanted to live with a roommate.
Well, it
Peter.
all depends on what your goals are,
Definitely. Peter,
Yes.
I had a question for you, Peter.
Yes. Go on.
Is this podcast your main source of income / employment?
No. In fact, I'm not making money from podcasting. I'm making other forms of money.
Neither are we.
Okay.
Sometimes, giving back like this, though, because, people say there ain't no free. There actually is free information. And I was reading that was really excellent karma, that if you share all information and you don't always want to be paid for some things, like even recipes. I don't know about you, but I hope if your mom or aunt or uncle or dad, because I'm not sexist, have a terrific recipe, don't let them pass away and bring that recipe underground. That's bullshit. There is so many things that we are unable to know about or cook because we forgot to ask. That's the thing. You got to actually ask when they're alive, and then that's awkward.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. But I would tell you to start asking now, because you never know what's going to happen. Some of our people we know, they're like, boom, gone. I remember our parents talking about this. The older you get, all of a sudden, it's like, woof, all your friends and relatives begin to move on to the other side. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're morbid like us, because we can go on the dark side here, there, and everywhere sometimes, you start thinking, which sister's gonna go first.
Oh, like the Gibb brothers.
Things like that.
What's this?
Nothing. That's all good.
Oh, not the Gibbs. The Bee Gees.
The Bee Gees. Yes, there's one brother left.
Yeah, yeah.
And our mom started this consideration for others in her older age. She gave back by feeling, empathy for others. And she mentioned Barry Gibb quite a few times,
Yeah.
how sad she was for him that his other brothers had passed before him and he was the last one left.
And not only that, the reason she was so sad was because each time he admitted that there was discord or arguing right before. So, boy.
Yes, even with Andy, but with both the twins and Andy.
Do you have any twin questions, Peter? A lot of people do, but maybe not.
Well, I don't have any twin questions, but I do have other questions in general.
Oh, okay.
So what was life for you two growing up?
Well,
horrible.
I'll tell you, horrible.
It was horrible for both.
We had parents that looked like they should have been in Hollywood. And we had an older sister that just the way her bone structure.
She should have been in Hollywood as well.
She should have been in Hollywood. And we, once somebody at a train station, actually it wasn't Grand Central, it was Penn Station in New York City. And this girl came running over and wanted to take a picture with us. And I said, wonderful.
We got excited.
She recognized the internet. And instead what she said was, wait till I show my friends what kind of self-esteem you ladies have, because you would be seen in public the way you look right now. And that was a bit like, I thought, I was never attractive. I used to think actually that I was attractive, but that was a little bit over the top. I mean, you look at us on the internet, there's some, and hello, I did have our noses filed. We come from the family of parrots. Our last name might have been Landino, but it should have been Parati, something like that.
They both have vowels, Joan. We're Italian.
I'm talking about
according
the nose.
to our DNA.
I'm talking about the noses.
So,
and then because we were so tall, people used to say, oh my God, how tall down in Whiteville, America, where everyone looked like they could be a cheerleader or a football player. And but not tall football players like there are today, but we like towered over everybody. So, it was a bit rough. And then I had this big scar on the top of my head because I was born with a brain tumor. So to tell us apart, a lot of people would just bend my head down, including school teachers. Which one are you?
One of the things they had really, we're in the Northeast. We grew up in a small town in Connecticut. And someone from the West Coast told our cousin that New England in the United States is established. And you could bat that term around a lot. But what I'm going to tell you is that what was established in the 60s when we were born was a lot of like really rigid stuff, like only mommy and daddy could look through glass at the incubator, when the twins had to be in incubators for 30 freaking days. Separate incubators. So we had no mommy and daddy touch. Nowadays, that's unheard of. It was established that you separate them into different cribs. They allowed us, it was really weird. They allowed us in kindergarten to be together and then, pull them right apart just to cause more psychic pain. And then you end up working together. It kind of looks inappropriate, but it isn't if you knew the development that went in.
Because nowadays they know to put the twins together for as long as possible and have them separate naturally so that they don't look like complete fucknuts like we do today. We dress alike, we look alike, and we go out like that.
And it didn't go well in the established Northeast because people kind of made fun of us, especially because we were psychiatric nurses and we had all those names like enmeshed and codependent thrown at us without anyone really looking at the other variables. But we had to move down to Florida, or chose to move down to Florida, where we go out even worse, dressing alike, this and that, and talking to people, and they love us and they don't say anything negative. So
No.
it's all a matter of perspective.
Or perception.
Sure, same difference almost.
Yeah. But other than that, it was really good growing up because
Yeah,
you know,
we never went to bed hungry,
Yeah.
nothing like that.
never really wanted for anything, but the goals were much lower than today. So yeah, it was good.
All
It was
right,
good.
fabulous.
Yeah. Thank you.
You know, actually, I actually do have a twin-related question now.
Wonderful.
Was there ever a point that you used what you two like disguised as each other and tricked people with your identicalness?
Well,
Yes, we did.
Our town was quite uptight, and in 5th grade was when we stopped dressing alike. So what we did was, in 5th grade, we ran to the bathroom at the same time. We coordinated that the evening before,
Yes.
and
A lot of crime shows growing up.
and then
Yeah.
we changed
Pay
clothes.
attention.
And I don't know how Jane's went, but I got yelled at because somebody in my class knew that it was me trying to be Jane. Because Jane, I don't know if you can tell, that's a way you can tell. Jane speaks more slowly and appears to be more intelligent, which she might be.
No.
Yeah, she might
No,
be.
Joan's the natural born comedian, and I believe comedians are brilliant.
So there.
And let me
Jane,
just
how did
say,
the classroom go?
if it was 5th grade, because I think it might not have been, because I don't remember 4th grade. But if it was 5th grade, I didn't get into any trouble because I had Miss Blair, the best teacher in the entire world.
Yeah, I remember you.
And I hope
her.
Miss Blair somehow
you liked her.
just hears what I'm saying wherever it is today, because I wouldn't know how to contact her. And she was the best.
Yeah, she didn't embarrass people.
Teacher.
Back then, it was big
in the
on
entire world, in my opinion, and in 5th grade, and she paid attention to each and every student, and in my opinion, and she read to us, and she happened to be beautiful.
She was pretty.
And she shared, this was wonderful. Most teachers don't share personal things. She not only shared, she shared, I believe it was the colors of her bathroom. It could have been bathroom or bedroom. One of them, one of the B rooms. And it was pink and orange. And in the 70s, I thought pink and orange was, wow, like way too risque. You know, you as a Puritan. And you're
my favorite teacher is dead, so I suggest that if you had a favorite teacher and you run into them,
let them know.
at a Wawa's or a Krauser's, go up to them. Don't let your anxiety get in the way. Where I hid, and I talk about him all the time. And my ex-husband asked me about that teacher, Mr. Lyons, and I said, "Oh yeah, I hid from him. He's dead." So yeah, it's too bad. Sometimes there isn't time in life for everything. So there.
Well, you know, I think, you know, sometimes you have to make a choice. And being as freakishly anxious as I believe we were, but I'll speak for myself, where I had full body hives twice in my life, like just so anxious I could barely speak, right? I say, don't let anxiety hold you hostage.
Right.
It's called stage fright, but everyone that gets back on stage or stage for the first time and actually accomplishes it, oh my goodness, what a feeling of accomplishment.
Yeah.
And that's what Miss Blair did for me. Now that I knew I did not, she was the head of the drama department, and she let me have a very, very, very small one-liner in a play. And I was positive that she did that out of kindness, because I was so shy, not because I read the line well. And that's one of the reasons I just put her up on a pedestal.
Lovely.
Isn't it? It really is. Miss Blair.
I hope that was an answer to the question. I don't recall now. Oh, it was changing it. Oh, listen to this though. When we were adults, I actually did something in public and I didn't want to be seen. And I'm sure it wasn't anything big, like whatever. And somebody said, "Oh my God, are you Jane or Joan?" And I said Jane, and I'm actually Joan. And then by mistake in the psychiatric facilities, and then later as a therapist, I have said Jane, because I think Jane just rolls off the tongue more easily. And I got to say, a lot of my clients used to apologize for calling me Jane, but I would say don't worry about it because Jane's just easier. And I want to say that to everybody. I know there's a lot of controversy about today, and you have to say which pronoun is correct. You're going to have to give people a break because, like, especially like a busy mother, single mother at home, as if she has more brain cells that she can spare upon figuring out a pronoun. Anyway, give people a break because my name gets incorrect all the time. I get told I'm Jane. I get asked, are you Jane or Jean? Neither. I don't get mad. And at IKEA, they called me Joanne repeatedly, even when I corrected them. So now for some reason in Florida, I don't correct people because a lot of people call me Joanne. And I got the connection from a podcast, and he said he was from somewhere in Indiana and they moved to Florida, and they also call a lot of people Joan as Joan or Joanne. Remember that podcast?
Yes.
Yep.
He said that he had a grandmother or
Yes.
an aunt.
Yeah.
Yes, Joan. And I think it's because.
And I think people should remember not
Wow.
to get angry right away.
Yes. Yes. I agree, actually.
Because we're too short. Our tempers. I had one back in the day too, but we're so quick.
I used to get so offended if they didn't say include Jane in the, I also got, are you Jean or Joan?
Oh, that
you know,
song.
You
The
must
song.
be Joan
Jean
or
or
John.
Joan.
I like when they say, who you are, and I say, oh, hi, it's Jane. Oh my God, I love Joan. I love her. And I'm standing there. I used to get, and Joan has gotten it too. And I used to get offended. And you know what? It's just an opportunity to start a conversation and be friends. Is what I think.
Mm-hmm. Hope we answered the question, Peter.
Yeah, we don't even know what it was.
Good enough for me.
I know what it was.
So, would you ever try space tourism?
Would we?
Yes.
I don't get it.
Is that where, like, we walk around Florida and show somebody from Hong Kong all the parks in Coral Springs?
Not exactly. I'm talking about space tourism, like out of this Earth.
Space. I see. I thought you said face.
So I would put equipment on my head and then travel. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like explore the universe to planets
yes,
around
I would
across the
definitely
universe.
do that. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. What are we, 62, Jane?
Yeah.
We're 62 and a half. We'll be 63 in August. So we're more than a half.
Now you sound like our father.
So what I want to say is absolutely. I think life is very short, and I traveled quite a bit, but
and I believe in past lives and future lives, but I'm not 100% sure. So
I think
life can be short.
Exploring new worlds, like Star Trek was one of our favorite shows back in the day. And I think exploring anything, all knowledge, whether it's bad or good, whether it's scary, I think knowledge is so important. People in this country, United States, if you ask them, such as, which two drugs or medicines or what exists, which two you could die from withdrawal symptoms. These are the two substances you should just be a little bit aware of when you're growing up, amongst others. And that's alcohol and benzodiazepines. So a lot of human beings have no clue. They say, oh, my grandfather did it. He was a strong man. He just quit drinking. John Adams' son died.
And that was one of our presidents.
Because he detoxed, and you have to do it slowly. So that, and I don't know where I was going with that. Knowledge. You just want a lot of knowledge.
They say knowledge is power. And yes, I mean, we're Americans.
Including recipes that people want to go to their grave with.
Right.
I just really, that apple pie and the other things, the key lime pie that I can't make to this day because they died. I don't even know if there was another question.
Space is terrific.
But our first book talks a lot about how we saw everything negatively growing up. It was our fault. We just saw it negatively. Fear, that's all we were afraid of everything. But back in the day, it was kind of, you were forced, it's called flooding today. You were kind of forced into things. And we're not saying that that's a better way. Right. But we were on this podcast of a prior NFL guy, Marcus Ogden. And he said it, like, just stay in the game. Even if.
Keep the ball moving, he said.
Even if you can't get out of bed that day, you are going to do something while you're in bed. And that is keeping the ball moving. And that is something that I want to say. In a wheelchair, your legs get all thin, they atrophy. Well, so does your brain if you don't use it. And that was my speech. Peach.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh.
If someone wrote a book about you, what do you think its title would be?
What is our title, Jane?
The word, you know what, I gotta say, the word crazy should be in it. Like, you know, that there's that movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy.
Fright Night.
The twins must be crazy.
One of my exes just said something about his sister recently, and her temper is just incredible. And he said, you know, my family was chuckling, Joan, that she would never have taken on that person that I used to be. And Jane's son named me, so I'll just call it Matilda, which is not healthy to do, to name your altar because you stay in it for longer. Anyway, yeah, so she wouldn't have even taken Matilda on. So I think that I have no idea what I was saying, but Jane was saying something important.
The twins must be crazy.
Something
like that.
Yeah. And yet there's still hope. Somehow
or
we have the hopes. Well, somebody read our charts and said, oh, that's why you have so much education. Because, you know, master's prepared, but we also have undergrad degrees that we might be missing 2 to 3 classes, you know, with a bachelor's of mathematics. And I have a second master's degree in forensic science. And the knowledge, what you realize, the more knowledge you get, is the more you
the
don't
twins
know.
are.
Yeah. And the more that you really don't know about human beings and the earth and all of that, which is wonderful, because to stay young, you're supposed to learn something new every day.
It might also have the word resiliency in there, because we are resilient. We're both still alive, let's say, and we're not homeless. But it could say
we were rebels and got arrested.
Well, I mean, we started life with our last rites. We were supposed to die twice, and then Joan was supposed to die again, and you know, things happened, but we're resilient. And then I'm thinking ...
but not exactly
something
we're
like
still
that.
Breathing. But you know, like, let's just say, oh, I'm Joan, but hey, Joan, how many friends do you have left? You know, how many friends do you have from high school? None. Hey, Joan, how many girlfriends do you have? None.
Joan, Chris, and Denise.
Okay, some of Jane's friends allow me to go out with them now. But my friends are like how Moby, the musician. I read once that his 2 best friends were his 2 exes.
Yes.
And I have to say, my 2 best friends, I don't count Jane as a best friend because she's more than that. But my 2 best friends are my ex-husband or my ex-boyfriend. And I happen to have been so lucky that they went through that temper of mine and didn't throw me away. I'm very lucky and grateful for that. Thank you.
Yes, Joan's very, very lucky. And I'm lucky because they're both kind people that allow me into their lives, right? Unlike mine, apparently I had too many boundaries, and therefore I hooked up with people with boundaries.
Oh, yeah, so I'm not included.
You know, we had a little tiff this morning about, isn't it funny that her exes include me, often ask about me, and
they actually say, is Jane there? I mean, it's more than asking.
I mean, do I talk to more than one ex?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes, I do.
I'm sure you do.
They don't usually, yeah. Oh, well.
Ooh, think nasty. How was
Interesting.
that?
Yes, that's good. Lovely. What is your favorite conspiracy theory?
Well, I think my favorite one is why Kennedy was shot in the head. I think that Martin Luther King started speaking about money and how the distribution in this country is completely uneven, and he got shot right when he was doing that. And I think Kennedy might have been speaking about a little bit too much on including other human beings that actually happen to have been darker. I mean, it's hilarious to me, even among white people. I mean, do you check out each other's legs to see who's whiter? It's just hilarious. It's like we're in kindergarten. Yes. It is hilarious. We're in an art class.
My son
specifically.
My son came home
from my favorite
elementary school and said something about, am I too white? Adam's complexion.
Oh,
so yes, white people will decipher.
What's your favorite conspiracy?
Well, the thing is, we're going so globally like that. That's a good, or American country wise. I think the biggest conspiracy. is that healthcare is not included in as a basic need for the citizens that live here, and it is associated with employment, which is bizarre to me, because sometimes your most stressful time in life is changing a job.
Right.
It could be a happy time like marriage and move, and a difficult time like many difficult times with people, and we
Divorce.
and that's when you lose your insurance or have to pay this silly thing that they double and triple the cost and all this. But my favorite conspiracy theory is that I read a scientific journal article over 20 years ago. It could be over 25 years ago. There were, in fact, two. One was more of a science nutrition article in journals. Of course, I can't remember what they were. And it touched upon cancer being a disease of the immune system. And I am so happy that I'm living long enough to see that come right to fruition, because there's some talk about it now.
Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy theories too. Oh, I really wish I picked a different one.
No, my God, Joan, please. That's probably why Martin Luther King Jr. got assassinated, because once you put money in the picture.
But I'm sure there's conspiracy theories on marijuana and why
God,
we thought that was bad, and who took that over. But more recently, Peter, we've been listening to these hertz, like cat purrs are at certain megahertz. And that they say that in the 70s, which is right when we were growing up, they said that the Vatican hid these. That's a conspiracy theory too.
Yeah.
Because some of them say they repair your DNA and recharge your spirit. Because I don't recall what year, but when Mozart and Bach and Beethoven, they were in 420 hertz. And a person from the United States and a person from Germany, I believe, both got together and said, let's change that to 440. And that's the standard European and American 440 tuning for music. And I'm thinking, really? I'm going, not that I liked Mozart, Bach, and Beethoven, but if it has medicinal and emotional
But you see how
effects,
it's turning around as well.
Yes.
You can't see what you can't hide forever, it seems. I'm reading this.
Thank God.
Is the truth. And it just might not come out in your own lifetime, though, is what I'm told. Do you see, they did that you said in the 70s. Well, how long has it been going on? Oh, sorry. That was us. We almost dropped something. How long has it been going on? Certainly not 30 years. My son is like 32, and I don't think they were saying play classical music while you're pregnant and at the crib, etc. But we all know that playing classical music, they say, enhances brain function.
Oh, and that was some of the hertz that
yeah.
They said did do that.
I mean, cats clearly have different purrs, and some of them are anti-inflammatory, some of them are feel good, etc. So, I mean, come on.
Very good. So, if you had a song for every time you entered the room, what song would that be?
Oh, I do like the is her name Etta James? And you know, she starts the song with this belting of "At Last," and the rest of the song is, you know, at last I think her dreams come true. That one, I like that one.
Well, because we're twins, that's wonderful. That is so wonderful, and it's so funny. Joan knows the title and who sings it, and instead, for me, there is a song, and I think everybody knows the title and who sings it except for me. And I'll tell you in a second, because the reason I love it so much, and I just like the lines, is because I'll tell you after I tell you. The song I love, and I get to hear it as elevator music now, is it's "This Girl Is on Fire."
Yeah.
This girl is on fire. And let me just tell you why. It's not because I'm conceited. I have been in the past, though. I will admit to that. It is because I suffered from depression for so long, so long, that I even apologized to my son for being a depressed mother. And, you know, that the fact that I am on a treatment now that works and brought me out of the dark is why, for me, fire is light. And, you know, I'm in the light now.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm living now.
Mine was more fear. So at last, my dreams have come true. So
That's wonderful.
mine is good. At last, I'm calm, I should say, and I don't hear my heart pounding in my ear. You know, there was only one person that ever agreed and said, yes, I've heard that, Joan. And she was an inpatient in a psychiatric hospital. And she was in restraints for the first 3 months that I met her. She was such the people spoke of her as if she was an animal, and don't ever let her out of those restraints, Joan. And back in the day, we were able to do that as long as we.
You know, I know who she's talking about. And just to confirm, the first initial of her last name's a J. Okay, so I have one question, because I don't think I met her, because I know another human that we actually know that had the same pounding in the ears.
Oh.
Is she thin?
No.
Yeah,
maybe now.
There's something about, I think I read, was the chest wall or the neck, because my ex, Jim, same thing.
Oh, because if you're thin,
there's something about it's your physical structure that you can feel it, like it's a presence in your ear.
Got it, Jane. We got it.
Yep.
Right.
And that's why Jim's in life.
Okay, sounds good. And that is all we have for this episode. It's great having you here, Joan and Jane, talking about your life as twins, your life, and a lot of other things. It's been fabulous.
Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you.
We are so grateful to be back. We appreciate that.
Anytime. And until next time, stay opinionated.